My wife, 28 female, and I, 29 male, got married in 2016. She got divorced from her ex in 2014. She has 2 kids with her ex, 6-year-old twins, boy and girl. In the time we've been together, my wife and ex vacation together at least once a year in the summer. I've never been invited. As far as I know, they've always shared one big hotel room because it's cheaper. Supposedly, they split the kids in the beds. So I guess my wife sleeps in bed with my stepdaughter, and the ex-husband sleeps in bed with my stepson. I've never really loved this arrangement, but I have tried to be understanding. At this point, though, I think we've blended families to the point where these trips no longer need to be this separate thing. I brought it up to my wife that this summer, I would be more comfortable if I went with them. She was hesitant and starts talking about how the kids appreciate being able to vacation alone with both parents. But correct me if I'm wrong. Is that not a normal consequence of divorce? I'm starting to question whether she secretly misses her old life. I told her as much, and she acted hurt that I would question how much she loves me, us. But I can't help but wonder. For the record, I am not asking her to axe the vacations. What I envision is that we all go and get separate hotel rooms. I can't see what's wrong with that, but my wife seems happy with the status quo. Is this a hill most people would die on? So wait, what? The kids are 6. That means they were 2 when their parents divorced. It is most certainly nothing to do with going on vacation alone with both parents. They don't even remember their parents being together. This makes no damn sense. 53-year-old divorced dad with girlfriend with kids all around here. I've dealt with this. Absolutely not. You die on that hill. You go on that vacation or it doesn't happen. Or you get divorced. You 2 are married. Can't believe you let this go on. I wouldn't be shocked if she's cheating. Grow a pair. Are you freaking serious? Honestly, I can't believe I have to type this. No, it's not okay for your wife to vacation with another man annually. And it's even worse and confusing to the kids that it's their dad. What the duck is wrong with you? Grow a pair. All of my life, my father and mother have tried to control me. They have a very strict Catholic household, which I was subjected to until moving away to college. To give you an example, I, along with my 2 sisters and my brother, were not allowed to date. Curfew at 5. No parties. Not too many friends. Every friend was basically interviewed, and all of my friends had to provide their parents' contact info. No using the phone unless my father was in the room. No makeup. No skirts or dresses shorter than knee length. No inappropriate panties or bras. No internet access, ever. No doors on our rooms, and no curtains. Also, both of my parents were always just very suspicious in general, so they would always accuse us of something. Another example, though I know I shouldn't have lied. My junior year of high school, I snuck out of the house and went on a date with a boy whom I had a crush on for years. We kissed and he took me home. When I got home, my parents were waiting for me and my dad yelled at me for hours, slapped me, and demanded that I tell him what I did. He just knew I had probably had S with the boy and lost my virginity. After hours of horrible shouting and threats to throw me out, I confessed that I had kissed him, and my mom sobbed and said, "How could you do this to yourself?" And my father wouldn't talk to me for a few weeks. So yeah, there's other things, but there are some examples. I got out of that situation after I moved to college, though my parents still attempted to control me and refused to pay for college. So I had to get a few jobs and use my scholarship money and loans, which my father always promised me he will help me pay off, but then threatened not to if I do anything wrong. Though I could eventually pay them off. Of course, I would prefer help from my father to speed up the process. This is something that gives me a lot of anxiety. In my second year of college, I met my fiancé, George, and we fell in love. I had had secret boyfriends in the past, but my parents never found out. I decided to tell them about George because I knew they would find out eventually. My dad had a long talk with me and said he was disappointed that I had chosen to date so early in life, and he talked to me about what being a holy woman meant. He said that since he still paid for my insurance and cell phone bills, he would know if I ever got birth control, or saw a gyno. My father was strictly against going to the gyno, and he said he would be watching my cell phone records to see if I would be talking to George too late at night than was acceptable for a young woman. He said I was not to have S with George, and if I did, I would need to confess in the church immediately, and the Lord would tell him if I did, and that he would be very ashamed of me. I don't remember what else he said. I have my own successful job now after college, and George is studying to be an engineer right now, and he has a great job as well. I am now completely in control of my life, with my own cell phone and apartment and everything. Though every step of the way, it has been a battle between me and my parents, who say that I have rebelled against them and deny their love and disrespect them. Your other siblings don't do this. They obey us, Rachel, but not you, You hurt us every day. Now that my fiancé and I are engaged, my father has been trying to hammer into me that I am still too young for S, that a proper, respectable, holy woman does not soil herself at a young age, does not get married until her father approves, on and on. I didn't get my father's approval for the marriage. Therefore, I have gone against him and God. He keeps saying over and over that if I go through with this awful arrangement, he will expect me to wait until I have permission from him at age 27-ish to have S, 26 if he sees fit. Even though I have dealt with these awful things for my father and mother, I still love them. I know that is crazy. I cannot help it. And I feel shame when they shame me, angry at myself sometimes when they point out my flaws. I have saved myself for marriage, but now I feel shame for wanting to have S, because women should not want to, according to my parents. They should only want it for the pleasure of their husbands, and should not O, because that is not the natural way. I know that I should not care what they think, but I feel so, tired, conditioned into wanting their love and acceptance. I still want to do as they say, despite what my heart really wants, and I am afraid that the Lord will not have me if I dishonor my parents. And also, the loans. That is part of it as well. When George and I get married, I want to start trying for babies. My father would not approve of me having a baby before I'm 30 or without his permission. I want to live my own life now, but I feel like I can't because I still love my parents so much and I want their acceptance. George has been amazing, putting up with all of this, and even though he believes in waiting until marriage, he said it is ridiculous to not have S once you are married, and says that it would be very difficult for him, which I understand completely. I keep going back to that one moment when my father demanded that I tell him what I did with that boy that one night. I just know that once I have S, I won't be able to help but feel ashamed, and won't be able to look my father in the eyes and lie to him if he asks if I have had S. Obviously, I need a lot of help. Any advice is welcome. Has anyone had experience in breaking off with controlling parents? Or how have you stopped feeling shame for doing what you want, as opposed to what your parents want? I just want to live my own life, and even though I have the means to, psychologically, I feel bound to my parents, and every day I still seek their approval. Just because I'm not religious, I actually link this to a friend of mine. He is looking to become a Catholic priest. He has studied for many years, and if anyone would have insight into your situation, it would be him. He thinks your parents are hateful, and are using guilt to control you for no good reason. He believes that there is nothing pious or righteous in how they treat you. Your relationship with your fiancé is between you and your fiancé, just as your relationship with God is between you and God. Your father does not have the authority to damn you, and nor should he be carrying on like he does. That's what a man who believes that he is answering God's call to the priesthood has to say about it, and I absolutely agree. OP, please hear these words. You are a living, feeling human. You alone have agency over your body, and it's not your parents' business what you do with your fiancé and soon husband. They A you by telling you that you hurt them by forging your own path. You're a wonderful daughter by trying to please them, but people like that cannot be pleased. They aren't concerned for your feelings or happiness, only their control over you. None of what they demand of you helps you in any way. They are being immature and unreasonable. You are an adult. You get to decide from here what you want to do. It's not their life, it's yours. These people are bad for you, and it's clear from your post that they have only caused you anxiety and fear. Here is my advice. Cut them off. They do not care about you, and you deserve to be happy and to consummate your marriage on your own will. Your parents are and their attitude towards you is insane. You will be recovering from the stresses and anxiety they've given you for forever if you don't walk away. Background. My husband and I have been together for 4 years, married for one of those. I like to think that we have a good marriage. We are generally supportive of one another, and we are the annoying couple that is pretty much always together, attached at the hip. I don't feel like saying nice things about him right now, but I love him a lot. I've been overweight since I was a child. Not grossly overweight, but definitely a case of she could stand to lose a few pounds. I have always felt pretty bad about that, and a few months ago, I started working out and eating better. So far, I lost 20 pounds, and I'm only 2 pounds away from being at a healthy weight for my height. Husband has always assured me that my weight wasn't a problem for him. I know that he is out of my league or whatever. He is tall, has blue eyes and dark hair. He's very handsome. I never cared much about looks and have dated people of all shapes and sizes, but I am reminded of how attractive he is all the time from the nasty looks and little comments I get from other women from time to time. I always thought it was pretty funny that I ended up with such a handsome man, and it never bothered me. Anyway, I'm rambling. Blame the beer. Husband has never had a lot of friends, but these last 3 months or so he has been hanging out with a couple of coworkers every Friday. I was incredibly happy for him. He was always in a great mood when he came home, and his friends seemed nice. He invited me to come along in the beginning, but I declined, because I think it's healthy for him to have his own friends. He stopped asking. Today, he is going to see a movie with these coworkers. He told me that one of them is bringing his wife, and that I was welcome to come along. This time, I thought it would be fun to go with him, since I would like to meet his friends, and someone else was bringing his wife along. I got dressed, and then my husband stopped me. He told me that he couldn't take me with him after all. He looked really upset and uncomfortable, so I pushed a little bit. Why did he suddenly change his mind? After a while, he told me that he had something embarrassing to tell me. Apparently, his new friends like to talk about hot women. They like to talk about how they scored and about how hot their girlfriends' wives are. In an attempt to fit in, husband told them that he had a smoking hot wife who always gets attention from strangers when they are out together. He says that it is now a running gag in his group of friends. He even showed them a picture of some chick from Facebook and said it was me. He told me that I couldn't come along because they would find out the truth. I immediately started crying and asking him why he would do something like that. He apologized profusely and said that he was just trying to fit in. He tried to make it up to me by inviting me along anyway, despite how embarrassing it would be. I have zero desire to meet these friends now. Husband was just standing there helplessly for a few minutes, and I asked him to please leave and that I'd be at my mom's when he got back. He started begging me to spend the night at home, but I am just so angry, humiliated, and sad, and I don't want to be around husband right now. I'm leaving in a few minutes to go to my mom's. How do I deal with this? Is this normal behavior? Am I overreacting? Wow, you are not overreacting. He is the one who lied to his friends. This is not normal behavior. Your husband needs to come clean to his friends because it's going to be weird if they all invite their wives and you cannot come every single time because he lied. They will eventually figure out the truth. That's your husband's problem, though. Your problem is you consider this acceptable behavior. Your husband owes you an apology and he needs to come clean to his friends at the minimum. Perhaps he needs professional help for his lying and insecurity. I don't like how you talk about yourself. Your husband is not out of your league. His personality makes you seem out of his league. You deserve better, OP. My husband tells people I'm hot because I am to him. Doesn't matter if his friends find me attractive. I'm not married to them. If my husband pretended somebody else was his wife, I would probably need space from him for a couple of days, and then it would take one amazing apology from him. It's completely devaluating to you as a person and to your relationship. I would never be able to meet his work friends. It would be too humiliating. And every time he hangs out with them, I would probably be cranky about it, which would ruin going out with them for him. My husband, Jerry, 31, and I, 27, are newlyweds. We just got back from our honeymoon, and his mom, mother-in-law who is a snoop in nature and who always wants to know about everything going on in her son's life, invited us to her house multiple times for dinner. She kept insisting Jerry tell her everything that happened on the honeymoon, every single detail. My husband kept giving her vague answers because we really didn't do much other than spend time together, but he admitted later that he could no longer handle the pressure from her. She invited us to a barbecue get-together a few days ago, and when everyone gathered to eat, mother-in-law asked again how the honeymoon was spent, and I looked at Jerry and saw how annoyed he is. I decided to handle the conversation and answer her question. I responded by saying that we didn't do much. We just had S non-stop. I admitted how he was often on top, but never ceased to please me, and how I remember having him between my thighs most of the time, how I loved it, how he made me feel like I was the only woman in the world, how I was mostly the one who initiated and he never ever turned me off. Then I said it was bliss. Mother-in-law was stunned, like absolutely stunned. Then I added, we did go out a few times to look at places, but then we went back and had awkward silence for the whole family. Then brother-in-law goes, "So, anything else to talk about?" Mother-in-law blew up at me, calling me shameless and disrespectful for talking like this in front of her and family. She then said the question was for my husband, not for me. And I told her that, since I was there, then I figured I'd help out, since he's a bit of a weak memory, and she wanted details. She, at this point, got up and got into an argument with me and told Jerry to take me out of there because I was no longer welcome. We left, and Jerry wasn't happy with how I handled it. Then, his two sisters berated me up and down for insulting their mom and embarrassing them by talking in an inappropriate manner at the party and ruining the atmosphere. They demanded I apologize, and Jerry says it's the only way, But I'm not sure at this point, because I felt like I had to do this to get her to stop asking. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Most couples do that on honeymoon. Don't know why she's so surprised. Not the a-hole, but it wasn't a useful response. In a lot of situations, people will excuse the person who is actually in the wrong. By sinking to her level and just giving her what she asked for, you allowed them to paint you as the bad guy here, when you are not. It's sort of a Pyrrhic victory to be in the right, but they are all still going to act like you were in the wrong. A better response is just asking specific pointed questions about why she is asking, in an emotionless a way as possible. Why are you asking for specific details of a couple's honeymoon? What sort of answers are you looking for here? It is making us uncomfortable. But just because there was a better strategy to have taken to get what you wanted, it doesn't mean you are at fault. So, not the a-hole.